Hey, it's me, your girl Cynthia Bailey, and I've been hanging out with your girl, the queen of reality TV, Kamisha Reviews.
The views and opinions expressed on this channel are those of this channel and are for entertainment purposes only. Do not try this at home. And don't whine in the comments when you don't like it, because I don't care. All right, guys, I had to give all of that. Okay. Welcome back to Commission Reviews, the queen of all reality TV. We are talking about secrets. It was hold on, what's the name of this thing? Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of family secrets. And we're talking about episode 3 primarily, but we'll speak briefly about episode 1 with the preacher because me and Chaz was just like, ugh. So of course I've got my brother on here, Chaz, ready to love Dallas, great podcaster, even though he doesn't know it. He's awesome at commentary, and so we always have a good time. So we have been watching this behind the scenes, as far as talking about it or whatever, and just been a lot. This is heavier than what we've actually done as far as the Red to Love, talking about whatever. This was I'm gonna give on this, Chaz. You can chime in when you get ready. I'm gonna give them this. Out of the shows they've done, they have wowed me. Mind you, guys, don't forget to check out my interview that I've done with Heather. Her episode has not come up yet. It's not this episode coming, but the episode after. And I also have an interview with I believe the next episode. Your girl has been cooking. Okay. Make sure you guys check that out as usual. But I'm going to say for own, I'm going to give them their flowers. They did that with this show because it wasn't like some crap was like, no, people are talking about it. And if they're not, they should be because this stuff happens in real life. And I don't think anybody realizes it because they're not involved in anything like that. Chaz, your thoughts?
I agree. I feel like the network is with this show is turning in a different direction from the other shows that are actually popular on OWN. But these shows in these episodes so far have been very heavy, and I was concerned because I'm like, I can talk about what I'm seeing, but I actually have more compassion for the people and the stories that they've told so far. Um, to just show like when God is guiding you in life, He can guide you out of really bad situations. But there's also
Period.
some tall tale signs of where God warned some of these people and they stayed, and the story just became more tragic for them.
So let's get into the preacher one because I know you and I both was like texting like this is like what. So watching it and the way they lay it out, I love how On did it because I never guessed or knew anything watching the very beginning. I'm thinking, okay, well this is older gentleman, this is his wife or whatever, and they was in the church and typical things that we've seen growing up as far as well that then when you just all of a sudden it's like this. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait, he did what now? Like the thing about it, what I will say before before I kind of get to the um, you know, what do you call it? Yes, that part where it changes for us is what the preacher, what he's doing outside of his marriage and how. And I want to be honest and say that as far as black churches, what once he started saying, I'm sorry, once they started talking about what he was doing outside of his marriage with other men, all these things, I said, unfortunately, and I say this is not a new situation. This has happened quite often because the fact of a black man who was a part of the community didn't feel comfortable coming out, especially being part of the church, or felt they didn't have the room or the bandwidth to do it or whatever. And so they did what he did by having relations with people that are in the church who are part of the community. um that is unfortunate. That's an unfortunate part of it. To break it down, that is messed up, right? The other messed up part I would say also is the women who get burned because of that situation. The women, the wife, her not knowing what's going on, rumors. Church is like high school, just be honest. Rumors, conversations, who's sleeping with who, the usher got a side chick, whatever. The church has the craziest sexual stories that I don't think people actually realize. And I mean, it's black and white churches. Chaz, you can jump in whenever you get ready. Come on, because this is I had to put it out there.
You had me with everything until you said the wife didn't know, because the wife knew
Okay, come
early
on.
on. She knew early on that this was going on. She just ignored it. She was so caught up on being the pastor's wife.
Mhm.
She tolerated that man's secrets and his secret
Mm.
life. And she's tolerating it even now. When I saw them having dinner, he said my wife cooked for me in my husband's kitchen. I no words.
So okay,
Wow.
okay. That's okay. We'll go ahead and be transparent. When I say that, it is just like the wife didn't know, but that's a typical statement. We say the wife didn't know. I'm pretty sure, even beyond what she said on the actual show, and if I ever talk to her, I'm going to ask her this. Um, you had to have had some indications, even though he probably hit it very well. But even if he did hit it to the point where she never saw anything, and I don't want to. I'm trying to be careful with my words here because I'm very respectful to other people. But even you telling me the way he moved and did things as your husband never showed anything. I'm not saying there's a certain way you gotta be to, but I'm just things you might think, oh, that's odd that something. And I'm trying to move on this line because I respect the community 100%. I don't want anyone to get offended. But you tell me that nothing he did, and I'm not sure. He seems more feminine now, but he may have been hiding that demeanor of himself at that time, which I do understand. But with the rumors, I'll say that when you're in a black church, and this is me being completely honest, even if the preacher or usher is being with a woman, it doesn't matter. They're talking about it.
Right.
Chaz, come on, we're from Louisiana. They're talking about it
That's
to the
right.
point that the teens are talking about it. And then you even got the wife, some kind of way, has overheard, oh, you saw him in the office, something. Chaz, please chime in because that's the part that to me, even if you didn't see anything oblivious, whatever, in a church, a black church, come on now. Come,
So
Chaz.
my parents were pastors, so
Okay.
I
Oh,
know
wow.
everything you just
Okay.
said. That's the truth. Like we know everybody's business. We know whose lights were cut off. We know who needed a benevolent fund. We know which of the ushers is sleeping with which of the deacons. Like you just know this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I don't believe that she's as complicit in this as she kind of conveyed. I do think part of her was just hung up on the vision of having this kind of being the pastor's wife. But she was the minister over the HIV portion of the church, and she never once considered that she could get HIV after she found out that he was caught coming onto an officer.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I just
crazy.
question, like, where were you? She was living and she was present, but she wasn't connected with her husband or to her situation because
Mm,
God has given every woman an incredible power called intuition. Her
okay.
intuition was going off, and I hope you do speak with her and interview her because I really want to hear from her. Like, how did this go on for so long?
Okay, well, I'm gonna say this. So, yes, God give women that discernment, what you're saying. But at the same time, when love, and I believe that she was in love, for a woman, there are women who stay with men. I can go as far back before us, back in the day. Even if the men beat them, whatever the situation, because they were so in love or their life was a certain way or whatever it might look like, they wasn't going to leave the situation. And it sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but that's the truth of it. That's a lot. Many of women who lost their lives because they could have left, or somebody gave them a way out. They denied it, chose to stay where they were at, even though they knew it was a toxic, unhappy situation for their children included, but stayed there because they loved that man, or like the imagery that they thought, or that they should have, or whatever imaginary, the public persona, all of that. Oh, I don't want to ask for help, or I have nowhere to go. It's so many levels to that, and I'm not giving excuses when I say this, but this is the thing that it didn't just start yesterday. for her situation, I don't. I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as the being a preacher's wife. I know for myself, not for me personally, but that was a thing. If you are the preacher's wife, it's almost like you're the queen of England or whatever. And so, to be able to sit in the front row and the hat and all the things, it is a status thing. I am
Yeah.
not talking about her in a negative way. I'm speaking truth when I say this. Being a preacher's wife is a big deal in the Southern community, especially in small towns, small churches. Oh my God. There are women who are younger than the preacher's wife who want to get that attention and would be having affairs and trying to get it. Women will fight over this. It's not talked about, but these things have happened. Yeah, let me tell you something. Sister Shirley and Sister Cece or whatever. I'm just telling y'all, it's like a soap opera. Chad, speak to it because I didn't even know your parents were pastors, but speak to these things because even though you grew up in it, children saw a lot more than people believe. That's real talk. So please speak to this.
I think it is a status thing. I think a lot of, especially in the black church, a lot of the black churches, they're proud to say that they're pastors. They're proud to say they serve in the church, and then they're proud to, you're right, wear those hats, have those positions, have that recognition by the congregants. It is a thing, and I just think that she was a. I mean, I have a lot of compassion for her because I could tell. You're right. She really did love her husband, but I think she loved the idea of loving this man because she loved him more than she loved herself. She
Hold on,
neglected
Chad. My
herself.
headphones just went out. Hang on. I'm gonna have to turn my I thought it was charged. I'm gonna have to listen to the live on my channel and then come back to you. Hold on just a second. Because I want to hear what I heard part of it, but hold on. Okay, so I heard what you said, and when I excuse me, for people who don't understand, when I say the hats, that's also part of the status in the South. And again, my family's blended with Louisiana and some Mississippi or whatever, just the South in general. Wearing the hat, the feather, the colors, matching the shoes. I remember when I went home and I would see, and then they're no longer, some of them no longer here. The older aunties and great grandmothers, when they went to church, the hair, the wig was prompt, everything ready to go. Shoes was shiny. If there was certain ushers, they had the whole white suit. It's a lot. I mean, it is heavy, and I don't, as far as black church only, and I'm not saying that white church don't have their own thing too, like they do, but I'm thinking for a standpoint of this black church. I didn't want to get too much. I feel like we'll be spending a little time. I didn't think we were gonna do this, but talking about the preacher. So I do want to really get into tonight's episode, honestly, because tonight's episode was also a doozy. And so for me, I just watched it. You guys see me. I'm getting over my cold here, so excuse me. The episode from tonight was insane. Um, I fell in love with the wife, how she spoke, New York. Not even just that, the genuine, just the way she came off talking about her life, meaning atypical. When I watched the story, I thought of my parents. Chaz, hold on. I'm gonna let you chime in. I'm not sure how you feel, but watching it, watching the videos and everything, because I was born in '76, and so I don't care my age. That to me, it never bothers me. I'm 49, so born in '76. My parents, when they got together, it was the '70s, heavy, Afro and the all the things. And my dad was in the military and married my mother and had me and my sister. With that being said, watching her speak about him and how they met, it just sounded wonderful. Speaking of the children, he was a good provider, taking care of the kids. I'm like sitting here loving. I'm like, what is the big, and you watch the children and I had this baby, the twins, the family was beautiful. It just was a wonderful story, right? But then she said, but I felt like he was hiding something. I was like, oh shit. I ain't gonna lie. So you felt like for 30 years, literally 30 years, he was hiding something. And then for me, it's like, well, I don't know what he was hiding. I didn't what happened and what they showed was not what I was expecting. Now, Chaz, go ahead and give your words. I'm gonna listen back after you're done.
It wasn't what I was expecting either. I was like, what the hell is the damn secret? Because they were kind of dragging it out, right? Um, no, I mean, but I don't want to skip ahead about what I think of the wife, but I love the wife. I think the reason why his parole ultimately was approved was because of her and her testimony. And just she's very authentic. Like when she said he was the best husband, at least I thought he could be, he could be. The way she was relating, even like filming this episode, I think she has definitely a gift, and this is clearly the power of two people that loved each other. I thought the story was crazy, and I even wondered, like, why do the kids still have the last name Love? So I hope you speak with her too, because I'm like, that wasn't his last name, and I have questions about how did he get his Social Security, like with a different name. Like yeah, this was an interesting story. Hello.
Okay, sorry. I listened to what you were saying. I'm behind. I'll apologize. My headphone was not charged. I'm so sorry, y'all. It won't happen. That's my promise. Um, yes, Chaz, the wife literally saved his life, right? But literally, if it weren't for her, he would be probably still, unfortunately sitting there. What I will say about um her, my thoughts about the wife is that I feel like she was being so supportive and had no idea of what he did, what transpired or whatever, but she knew something. And that's the thing about what we were talking about earlier about the intuition and the sermon or whatever. Something is going on, but you are literally ignoring it because you want to, like she said, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. Her husband was a good provider, took care of, he was a great father. You know what I'm saying? The kids loved their dad. There was nothing, bad. Oh, he was bad. But the part that I also want to talk about, and for you as a provider and as just being raised by your parents and just being a black man when he lost his job. The thing about it, and I know that not just black men go through this. We're black, so we're gonna speak to that. So I don't want anybody to get offended or anything, but black men and their identity. Um, Losing the job, it just completely demolished everything for him. He could not be there for his family. He could not be there emotionally. He could have been there physically. She said she was going to work early in the morning. He would be literally laying on the couch. You know, and I can't remember what she said verbatim, but she said a phrase like my mother would say, like, this ain't gonna cut the mustard. You need to get up off your ass. Do what you gotta do? And it's like, oh, a man needs that. If she's a good woman, she's gonna tell him that, of course, because he was working two jobs. When you heard her speak about him in the beginning, the man worked two jobs. He would get up at 4 in the morning, work to two, I believe she's. I'm probably saying this incorrectly. I mean, so like incorrect times. And then this last part of the night, he worked until 11. That's a lot of hours. So Chaz, go ahead. I want you to speak to this as a black man.
Yeah, I just think, especially a black man that's able to, like, he rebuilt his life, right? He did what he did in his youth, and then he recreated himself. He has his life, he's his husband, he's his provider, he's a father. And so much of who we are is what we do in our professions. And the moment we are stripped of that as a profession, we can fall into a deep depression and a sadness. And I think that that's what became him. But there his wife is again. She let him lay in that bed and in that sorrow for a little bit, but she's like, no, come on, you got to get up, we got to get back going. And I mean, she's just been an instrumental power powerful force in his life from every angle of this story. Are you going back again?
The depression part for me, Chaz, is it was for black people, we don't handle that very well. We don't go to therapy as we should. And, sometimes not supported. We don't support each other when that situation happens. And I do believe he was depressed
Yeah.
and felt like I'm not a man. I'm not saying that he was right to be on the couch and knowing that had bills to pay and he had kids and all things. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that he needed to take care of business, but mentally he just couldn't do it because he couldn't believe that I was whatever fired for whatever. The thing about it, you really have been running for 30 something years, and you literally 30 years, bro. 30 years and had a whole career and a whole family.
But do
Most
you
people
think
in
that was
prison
part of
want
his depression,
everything.
right?
Then you
Because
got
he
a
was not.
second chance because your wife. So I don't know how to feel about that because I feel like if it hadn't been for her, he wouldn't have the opportunity that he's having right now. And I understand that, of course, once he was caught, I'm pretty sure everybody thought once he was caught, she was gonna be like, "Oh, fuck you." But to me, I thought about this. I said, you know what? I said, this, come on now, 30 years, 30 years of your life and children, including twins. How easy for anyone to say, oh, I would have nothing to do with him after the. Are you serious? 30 years of your life. You were at the third part of your life. You did the first beginning, middle. You were at, come on now. 30 years, Chaz, realistically, people who are probably judging her and saying, how dare you? The preacher thing, I kind of get that. But with this 30 years of your life, speak to that, please.
I think part of his depression was he had. How long was he on that job again? Do you remember? I think part of his depression was probably the fact that, he had been on that job for such a long time and his secret was, kept. Now he had to get back out there and interview, which could reveal his real persons to like everyone. And I think that probably made him somewhat depressed because he had to like
I don't
confront
know how long he
his
was under. I'm
past.
sorry to interrupt you. I know I can't hear you. I don't know. He was on the job for a long time. I don't know if they said how long. I don't remember. But he was on it for such a long time that it affected his mentally. Because even when they show pictures of him before while he was working or whatever, he had the, and I know we get older, we change, whatever. But I felt like that after he lost his job, it's like he aged quicker or something, because I don't know, the depression, the sadness or whatever, not really doing anything, being mobile or moving around. But I feel like when he lost his job, it just aged him quite a bit because it just took him out. He was just kind of done, but he was on there for a long time because they raised their children all those two jobs. She also was working too, so they was living a good life. I'm sorry, go ahead and continue.
No, I said it. I said what I said. Hello?
Okay, so one thing I want to say and commend her, she kept her family together. um the children probably were affected the most. I mean, I don't say the most because she was affected also. I don't say most. I'll scratch that. They were all affected, including him. But the way she moved when it was like, look, I'm for the email Obama. Everybody gonna get this man out of here. He is struggling. He is not doing well. I want him out of this jail. The way she fought for him was crazy. But that to me is how you know how much she freaking loved him. Like I said earlier,
Mhm.
a woman fighting for her man. Period. I don't care what he did. He gonna get out of jail. He gonna be all right. And she did that because he's out on documentary talking about it. And I know people have mixed emotions about it because some people would just say, if it was me, I would have nothing to do with him. Girl, yes, he robbed. The thing about it, he robbed a bank. And it was stupid what he did. I'm sorry, it really was. He was trying to get money. He didn't hurt anybody. And I don't care who nobody say. He did not hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? He was not a murderer. I'm not excusing the crime because people in that bank, that's somebody else's money. So I don't excuse that. Please believe that, right? And I felt like his move was stupid. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't strategic. Because to me, if you're gonna be a robber or anything like that, it has to be strategic for me. And I feel like what he did was just out the blue. Hey, let's go. No, it was ridiculous. So I understood the assignment and understood why the things happened the way they did. But you had a whole family to say. I'm like, bro, what? And I'm sorry, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Well, he didn't have family yet, but you saw how he spoke about how he was so happy about his daughter being born. So that means even in those times before you had the family, you wanted that. How would you want that and move the way you were moving? That to me didn't make any sense as a grown ass man. And then the way you hit it, your own children said it was odd. I knew my dad was hiding something. We would have conversations. You had a whole wedding and your family left right after the wedding, every one of them. My family, oh, we have a conversations during the what's going on. Well, I don't know anything about what happened. Please, are you serious? I would have cousins, mama, aunties, sisters, my people who are not blood. Hey, what's going on? You married the commission? What's going? Please, okay. By the time they already get in the car, I would probably had the bio story beginning to the end and knew everything. My family would say, "Stop the wedding. This man's a crook." All right, they're coming for him. Don't do it. Chaz, give me your final thoughts, please.
Um, from what angle? What part? Well, I don't know. I'm happy everything worked out for him. He has a loving family. I think his wife loves him a lot. This was an interesting story. I think thinking back to like the 80s and the 90s, him getting into that kind of trouble, he was just trying to get money to provide for his family. And I am aware of a few black guys
No,
that
I couldn't
actually
hear
took
you. Give me your final thoughts of just. Hmm. Yes, been a good question. Give me a final thought about the preacher situation, and then a final thoughts of tonight's episode.
preacher situation. I think that's wild. Again, I hope you get to interview the ex-wife. I think she can actually clarify some of the things that we saw or even think about her story and her situation. But that was the wildest part of the series to me that I've heard so far. And then tonight, I don't know. I'm just encouraged that, hey, here's an example of black love. This woman stood beside her husband. He got out. She helped get him out, and they're living like happily ever after. So that's just good to hear, because he got in trouble with the law and he could have went a lot of different ways, but he got himself together. And I do remember hearing this story about 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So this is something that was pretty interesting to get more details in today's series or episode. Did you hear any of that?
Okay, so my final thoughts are this. Very similar to yours. The preacher situation, yeah, excuse me. The preacher situation to me is normal to me. There are probably many couples who stay together 20 some years ago that they knew their man was a part of the community or had a boyfriend or whatever because they wanted to be with their man. This is not a new thing. Um, Especially I can go as far back to 40s to 50s where men were closeted. The women knew it, the family knew it, but for perception, they would keep it. Oh, they have 3 kids, the dog, and the fence, but knew that he was doing whatever. I mean, it is what it is, right? And it's her choice her choice to do that, for her family and for herself. No judgment. As far as tonight's episode, um, she knew something was off, as most women do, but didn't know what. She thought he had a whole family on the side. She thought whatever. Kind of find this man was just a criminal. But the crime, the things he did, people in them, white people, I'm just gonna be honest, people who are not of color would have gone out with slap on the wrist. Him being a black man in this time period, they wouldn't lock him up. And that's something I didn't speak about earlier, but that's just unfortunately what it is. Black men have been locked up for petty crimes and for a long time because they're black. And I think that's where the wife was coming from. He's old, he's black, he didn't, just let him out. And so for her to do that, to see that love that she had for her man, was not only intriguing, but it was also, Mama, I get it. Mama, I get it. Crime for black men just in the 60s and 70s was treated as if they did commit a heavy felony, right? And that's what I want to say about that. We can highlight that he was a criminal. We can highlight that he lied, that he, hid it for 30 something years, which also says he's a good crook. 30 years and you hiding that, bro, please. Okay. So I'm just saying. But I will say that black men was prison for such petty stuff that I understand why he did it. I'm just being honest. For him to go to jail for 10, 15 years and a person who was white probably would have got a slap on the wrist, probation, whatever. It isn't fair, but that was a sign of the times. Some of that still goes on to this day. But that's my final thoughts. I'm so sorry my headphones went out. I'm gonna charge my headphones because we got another few episodes. I can't remember how many we have left. But knowing that Chaz's parents were preachers is crazy. So if his input on this commentary was actually wonderful. Please go check out the interview that I did with Heather. It was wonderful. I am doing another interview with another person from the show, another episode, which I believe is this next episode, and then Heather's is after, and me and her are going to talk, I believe, Sunday. So make sure you guys check that. I'm gonna post it Sunday night, so make sure y'all check that interview out. That being said, I'm out of here, and it's Commissioner Views, the Queen of Reality TV. One thing I want you guys to know, and that nothing that will never change about this, I am the Queen of Reality TV. Don't get it twisted and don't doubt it. It is what it is. Period.